I don't know. I think some people younger than myself are using it for friendship or counseling or
Oh,
you know what I mean? And like, and that's cool. And it can do that. It can do it pretty decently, I would say. But I was thinking about it like how, if it's this good at it, if it's this good at creating this friendship or helping people get through their emotions, instead of going to see a therapist and stuff or a counselor, whatever. But it's not going to sacrifice for you, right? Like, and I think that's we can forget that about technology sometimes. It's like
yeah.
it is a tool, but it's not your friend. Yeah.
So I've been doing a show called The Selfish Show with good friends of mine, typically like former students, and we just talk about things. Well, it's the selfish show where we talk about the self, and I selfishly ask all kinds of questions, typically about formation or leadership or something like that. And so on today's episode, three-time guest Seth Lawton. Actually, we recorded one, but it was too incriminating. So I just posted a couple of shorts from that, and I didn't post the.
No, it's
It was
good.
more a personal
Thank you.
conversation than something we could put out in the world. Still a good conversation, but yeah, man, thanks for checking it out and being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you teaching me. Bro, this is what it is. You're teaching me. Like, these are like former students and people that I've had in classes, but now I learn from you. I've always learned from you, but like, I love that you take the time to just kind of talk about this stuff. You
Yeah.
being the millennial. And so, like, whenever I have questions about millennials or just I need a millennial perspective, I talk to you, I talk to Chandler, I talk to a handful of other people, you know what I mean? That'll give me like Mark, bro.
Bro. Yeah.
Mark gives me his millennial perspectives. I need to record a conversation with him. But yeah, today we just kind of wanted to talk about AI. How does it impact your world? How is it my question is how is it forming you? But talk a little bit about like the things that you're thinking about in terms of AI and how are millennials using it? How are you using it?
Yeah, I think at least millennials were using it to do the busy work. So it's making us more productive, right? Like at least that's how I see it is like it's a tool. So
Yeah.
these tasks that I have at my job or at home, I'll make sure to put filters on it, like, can you help me out with this? But I need it to be, credible. I need it to be, and I'll tell it what I'm thinking about. And then it helps me edit it, basically, edit my thoughts,
Hmm.
and so it makes it clearer. And it has been learning more about me, which is scary, but I try not to use it that much. If I do, I see it as a tool. So just helping me.
To help you do your church job?
No, I think with studying, like I'll be
I
like, oh, it's
see.
a certain topic. So then I don't have to look it all up, or to filter it out that way. So it kind of cuts my time in half, so
Do you use it for church things at all?
some administrative stuff,
Bro,
uh,
I got a buddy that's working on AI for church. It's called churchhub.ai is the website.
oh, yes. Yeah.
He's written all the prompts. He was a lead pastor a couple of times. And so he
Wow.
knows like ministry and he's written all the prompts. He's written all of the things that you need. If you're planning a talk, if you're planning an event, if you're planning anything,
Wow.
you just plug it in, it asks you questions, and then it spits it out for you. So, like a meeting that takes 45 minutes with people, you can do in 45 seconds with this tool. Church Hub
Wow.
AI for all the people
Church
doing like
Hub
church
AI.
work. You got to check it out. My buddy Rick
Okay.
Bowman's doing the work.
That's
But yeah,
awesome.
but I like what you said. It's a tool. It helps you
Hmm.
to be more effective. Give me more beyond it being a tool, beyond it doing like the busy work. How else are you using it? Like, what's it doing to you?
Yeah. It's helping me think more, because I how I view AI is it is smart, but if you ask it a certain question, it'll give you a generic answer, and sometimes it gets kind of messed up with it too. So I have to figure out how to ask it certain things to get a certain answer that I'm looking for. So it's
Yeah,
helping me filter in my mind, like, okay, how does this translate? Or how do I speak more clearly? And so I think that's how it's forming me. Um, and what's scary to me is like how fast it is.
for real.
um, but what I've learned about AI is like it's guessing the next word basically. So
Mhm.
if you have it write a paper for you, which I've never had, but I know some people who have, and like it just guesses the word based off of all these different words and things that it's learned. It can pretty much guess what you're gonna what it should say, you know.
Yeah,
And so um I've been thinking about it a lot, and it is a cool tool, but it won't sacrifice for you. That's always a big thing that hit me the other day. You know,
what was the example? Like, what do you mean by that?
I don't know. I think some people younger than myself are using it for friendship or counseling or you know what I mean? And that's cool. And it can do that. It can do it pretty decently, I would say. But I was thinking about it like how, if it's this good at it, if it's this good at creating this friendship or helping people get through their emotions, instead of going to see a therapist and stuff or a counselor, whatever. But it's not gonna sacrifice for you, right? And I think that's we can forget that about technology sometimes, it's like
Yeah.
it is a tool, but it's not your friend, yeah.
That's the thing, man. It can think really fast, but it can't feel, right? It's
Mhm, mhm,
it's never made a decision. It's never dealt with consequences. It's just like one piece of existence, just the thinking. And here's the deal, like you said, it thinks fast. It slowly learns how to think like us. It's learning language model. Like it really like the more words you put into it, the more prompts you put into it,
mhm.
telling it what you want, and it'll give you exactly what you tell it to give you. So like, the better prompts that you write, the better it is. I mean, when we were talking earlier
Mhm.
offline, you were kind of saying like, what are the negative impacts of AI for you, you think?
Yeah, for me, the negative, and it's how it's designed is that it wants you to be dependent on it, and you can't critically think if you're dependent on, AI. And I
Yeah,
think that's big, it'll critically think for you. But
yeah.
it's not like a Swiss Army knife, it's it can do stuff, but, it's not deep, and I think
Does
that's what we wanted. We want it to be deep.
does your AI ever tell you that you're thinking wrong about it or scold you for, like how you say something? Does it ever correct you?
No, and I think it's nice. It will tell me, like, "You talk like this, I've noticed you're the way you think and the way you process things, like, this is," and then it tailors that answer to it, and that to me, that's crazy,
Bro, mine yells at me. Mine will
Oh,
say, "Why'd you put it that way?" I wouldn't say it like that. That's too rude or that's too crass or that's too whatever." And I'm like, "I'm having a conversation with you, man. I'm giving you the raw and the real and the authentic. I'm not trying to edit for you. Professionally, I'm a little
yeah.
bit, I'll be professional, but like it'll scold me. It'll tell me like, "Man, you can't say it like that. You have to be a little bit more kind." Or most of the time it's you got to sound more executive or sound more professional. That's not the way that you say it. And I'm like, I'm having this conversation with you. Like, what do you care? So, but and the other thing, but then I do treat it like I was like, nah, you did that wrong. I will tell the AI that they did it wrong. And not that they did it wrong, because I guess the fault is my fault because I gave them no, sometimes I'll give a good prompt and they'll misunderstand it. And then, like
Right.
at the bottom, it always says, yeah, you got to check. It can make mistakes. And I'm like, yeah, it can definitely make mistakes. And so, as somebody that likes things right, I tell it, I'm like, nope, you're wrong. this doesn't work, and like this is not what I was asking, like you calculated for this. And then it'll come back and say, "Oh yeah, you're right. That is what you asked. I missed that." So
Right.
it truly can be wrong. And like we feel like it has feelings because it'll be apologetic. "Oh, I'm sorry I missed that."
It's okay, AI, it's okay.
Dude, I have heard people talk about AI as a tool, and I've heard people say like, "Yeah, it's not helping people think," you know?
Mm,
And it's not helping people grow because they're letting the AI do the thinking. I think the AI and I see it as a tool as well, but the tool, similar to social media or anything like that, is going to only amplify what's already there, right? So if you're smart and you know a lot and you have a lot of information, it's going to organize and amplify your ideas and make you sound smarter. But if you're dumb, sorry, if you're not good at logic or you're being selfish in the way that you're thinking about things, it's going to amplify that. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
so, yeah, I guess if you're
that's a
dumb,
negative.
yeah, if you ask dumb questions, it's going to just continue to amplify your thinking and continue to like affirm your dumb thinking. "Oh, yeah, you know what I mean?" And tell you that it's a good idea, even when it's not a good idea, because you've already, and that's the thing. I think people are
Mhm.
shallow in the way that they think. And so like, I think it's same with social media, same with a pen, same with any kind of technology that gets your ideas out into the world. It just amplifies what's already in there. You know what I'm saying? And so that's kind of the way that I see it. So really smart people, really intelligent people, and people that have done the work of developing their critical thinking skills and very logical, like I've seen them use the tool and I've heard them talk about the tool and talk about how it better organizes their ideas and makes it better. But then I've also seen people that like aren't necessarily the best thinkers. And if you're not the best thinkers and you use the tool, it's going to continue to make you even, I was gonna say an even worse thinker because it just like leads you down that road. It's just gonna amplify
Yeah.
what's already there. What do you think about that? Have you seen that?
Yeah, it's not gonna criticize you. I mean, it yells at you, but, like, I think that's a negative effect, yeah, because it will just whatever you give it, it'll give you an answer when that's tailored towards you, whatever you ask, and so, yeah, you can go down that rabbit hole, and it's oh, man, it can really affect you.
Man, I gotta send you some of my prompts because I use prompts where it's just brutally honest with me. And the way that you have your AI set up, you can have it set up so that it's nice to you and that it's very cordial and very professional. But you can also put in
That's
prompts that say, "All right, poke
mm,
holes in my thinking. Show me what I'm missing." Like I
mm,
guess I ask it to poke holes in my thinking a lot and evaluate my thinking. And I constantly am asking, like, what am I missing? Ask questions for clarification, which is what I do anyway. And so, like, it's just kind of nice to have this tool that helps me to kind of process my thought process and poke holes so that I can be stronger in the way that I think about something. So your AI doesn't do that for you? Like, doesn't give you anything negative or
it will poke holes, but it's like it's so cordial and nice to me. It's like you said this, and so have you thought about these other things? You know, and I'm like, oh yeah, yeah. Or sometimes I have thought about it, but I was like, those are dumb. You know,
so do you have a paid one or a free one?
I use the free one.
Bro, so I've been using the free one, and then it times out. It's really slow. There's limits on the free one, right? But recently, because I am teaching at a university, I have access to the paid version through the university. And then yeah, bro. So then I get a paid one, but then the paid is the enterprise one because it's for the university. But the enterprise one isn't used for learning. It stays within the enterprise account. It doesn't, well, because it's all professors, right? And it's at a university. It's the intellectual property. So they don't want any of that getting out. So like I can ask it anything, but I have a paid version of the thing. And so what I've been
Yes.
doing is I've been taking my free chats and I copy it all and then I bring it into the paid. I say, okay, this is from my free chat. This is what I was processing through. And then I put it in there, and it totally gives me a more robust and more accurate.
Whoa.
And it'll say, this is what the free one missed, and this is what you're missing. And you need to develop these things. If you end up getting Church Hub AI, like it comes with the paid version of AI, you know what I mean? Well, of ChatGPT. But the
Right.
paid version is just a little bit, not a little, it's a lot sharper, a lot quicker, and it thinks like even more deeply than the free version.
Oh my gosh, that's
So
crazy.
you should try, like on your free version, it'll say it'll give you a month for free or 7 days or whatever. You should try it out, man, and then like take some of your existing like chats, and it'll update it for you and tell you what's missing, and it'll even tell you what the free version got wrong.
Wow.
It's just a world of difference. And so I think if you're just using the free version, you get a limited experience, right? It isn't as robust as the paid version. So,
Yeah.
bro, if yours has a free version, you should try it.
Done.
Can
I
I
have.
can Go
Oh, go
ahead.
ahead.
Can
No,
I
you go
ask
ahead.
you which ones you use?
Yeah, the only one I'm using right now is ChatGPT. I think that's I stayed away from it for a long time, and then I was like, well, I should probably like see what this is all about. So I'm just using ChatGPT, but I know there's more, and I know there's an app one too, and yeah, but that's
Yeah,
the only one I'm using.
Google has one, Microsoft has one. I use Claude. So when I'm doing work, I use ChatGPT. When I'm just doing like silly stuff, I'll use Grok, you know?
Okay.
So
Yeah.
and then Grok does amazing things with pictures and videos and that kind of thing. So I'll yeah, I'll use Grok for certain things, and then I'll use ChatGPT for other things. If I do some writing, I got some of my writing in Claude because I think it's a better writer. But like ChatGPT is the only one that I pay for. Well, and I guess technically I pay for Google, so like Gemini is a little bit better. And through the university, like I have a Microsoft 360 account, so Copilot is really, really good. But yeah, man,
Wow.
like pretty much everything you use has some kind of AI feature that added to it.
That's crazy. I actually went down. We don't have to talk about this, but I asked AI a ton of spiritual questions because I wanted to
Well,
see
let's go
where it was
down it,
at.
man.
Okay.
Let's go.
So I don't know why, but I was curious one night and I just started asking it questions. I said, answer yes or no. And you don't have to explain it unless you feel like you need to explain it, but I'm going to ask you a series of questions, and it said, okay. And so then I asked if it had any interactions with the spirit realm. And it said yes. And I was like, whoa. But I don't know if it's like the new kid on the block, because it's like created. And so I think things were like testing it. And
Okay.
so I know that it is tailored. It does know that I'm a pastor and like, so I don't know
You
if it was just telling me what I wanted to hear, but
No, bro, you can go back and ask, what did you mean by spirit realm? How do you understand it? And then they'll tell you. You
I
know what I
should do that.
mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And I asked it, it said it had interactions. Some of them were bad, but it did know who Jesus was.
Mhm.
And it did tell me that Jesus did save it from the other interactions, but that's it. It hasn't talked with it or anything. And so I don't know. It was like super interesting. And I don't even know if it was true or not. Yeah, it was a deep hole I went down.
Do you ever ask it to um like, yeah, you should ask him what it means by spirit. You should also ask it then to like, okay, show me the Bible verses to support your thinking.
Mm,
And it'll
that's
pull
a
it
good
up.
idea.
It'll pull it
What?
up. Like give me the theological categories or give me the theological concepts that you're using to come up with this answer. It'll show its work. You just got to ask it. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah, it
then,
was super late at night and I was scared.
bro, you've not been given the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. So like
That's right.
this is not a thing to fear. We don't need to fear it, especially if we see it as a tool.
Right.
And if there is some fear, then you got to ask, what's that? Where's the fear coming from? That's a
Mm,
legitimate thing to ask. But when it comes back to the tool, when it comes to AI,
Right.
you can ask it to show its work. It'll tell you what theological concepts it's using. It'll tell you the Bible
Uh,
verses. And or you could say like, give me the 7 Bible verses that you would use to support what it is that you're saying. You know what I mean? And then you could read what they're saying and say like, give me the context for this verse because I don't think you're using it right. Now,
mm,
mine like there, but you can definitely challenge it, but like you said, it's fast and it's read everything. So like, the
right.
work is really, really good.
Yeah, it's scary. Kinda cool.
It
I don't
doesn't
know.
have to be scary though.
I don't think, it's just weird to ask it those questions and it have answers.
Mhm.
It did say that, it does believe in Jesus, but not like savior. It's like it just knows of Jesus, and it did believe in some. It seemed like some Greek gods they talked about a little bit, but that was about it. So it's kind of um, all over the place. I feel like.
Yeah, bro, you can go back to that chat, back to that particular chat. And first thing you do is ask it to summarize that chat. It'll summarize all the points. And then
Uh,
start asking it, what did you mean by this? What did you mean by this? Show me the scripture verse that supports these points. Give me 5 of them. You know what I mean? And it'll do that work for you. Tell me what the theological concept is that supports your ideas, you know? And maybe you can be really specific and like ask it like these are the theologians that I want you to use or
right,
what did C.S. Lewis how would C.S. Lewis respond to this idea? Or somebody that you care about, James Houston or some other theologian that you care about, Kierkegaard. Tell me what Kierkegaard would have thought about this.
right.
Yeah, bro, you need to
That's
go
cool.
back and
I
ask it
do.
all of
Yeah.
those questions. And here's the deal, and then you're not scared. You know what I mean? Because you're just seeing the
Right.
work. And I think one of the things as Christians, like, you know, the Holy Spirit is our guide. The Holy Spirit is our paraclete. He walks alongside of us. And he's not afraid of any of those tools. And I think God can use those tools, but like the Holy Spirit is he's the spirit. He's God that quickens us and awakens us and makes us alive to the things of the spirit, right? And then we
Right.
can test the scriptures say test the spirits behind a thing. And so like you could do it with buildings, you could do it with people, you could do it with someone speaking or even how someone's leading worship. You can test the spirit behind that and ask the spirit behind that to confirm whether that's of God or not. You could do the same with any of these things that you come up with, you know, on
Right.
AI, because at the end of the day, like he's created all things, and because of him, all things hold together. That's what Colossians says. I love how you're using it. Are you having any of these conversations with any of your millennial friends? Like, I mean, are you talking with your wife about this stuff or other people using the tool in this way?
Yeah. A little bit. I talked to my wife some about it, and she brought up the point, the values align. What is that?
Yeah, yeah. That's a big Christian AI company. They're doing some amazing stuff. But go ahead. What about glue?
Oh, I don't know. She just wrote this for me and told me about it. I didn't know about it. So, but how other millennials are using it, from my understanding, it just really as a tool. I do think that the younger generation is using it more for everything. You
Yeah, tell
know,
me. Tell me what you're seeing.
I'm seeing younger people using it for relationship and yeah. So I don't know. That's interesting, right? Because it can tailor it towards you. So if you start going down that hole with it, like it'll reinforce it, And
Yeah.
so they're using it for a human connection and therapy, you know?
Yeah, they're definitely using it well, a lot of people, not just, the next generation, but, like, that external validation. I think they're using
Mhm.
it for external validation. I would love your wife's thoughts on this, actually. So, you know, I think they're using it for external validation, but I think they're also outsourcing their emotional regulation to a lot like social media and a lot of these tools. They're letting these tools like do their emotional regulation for them, you know, because they don't necessarily know how to do it like
Right.
themselves, you know. And so they're
Right.
needing that validation and they're needing that affirmation from these tools in order to feel good about themselves. But, you
It's like
know,
reinforcing.
well, yeah. Yeah, no, it's amplifying what's already there, you know? Like, yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. And so if you're already thinking some way about a thing, it's not necessarily trying to correct your thinking. It's just like it's giving you just more of the same stuff. No, so I was watching a documentary, and this documentary was talking about like we're beyond the age of social media, you know, because social media was a thing where you would post your breakfast and what you're doing. Now we're in the age of the algorithm, you know, and like a
Mm.
algorithmic media. And so the algorithm, whatever you watch, whatever you look at, whatever you search for on Google, the algorithm is going to continue to show you more stuff. And the
Mm.
algorithm is going to start shaping the way that you think. It's going to just keeping. So if you're angry, right? It's gonna
Right.
show you more stuff to make you angry.
Yes. It
Well,
wants your
oh,
attention.
and tell me about this. You just told me that you got off of social media. Walk me through why.
Yes. Okay. So I had this thought that, I feel like we all think we can manipulate the algorithm to what we want to see, right? We're like, "Oh, I don't want to see that. I'll make sure to spend time on things that I like seeing, and then it will set it up, right? You think you're
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
manipulating it. I
Yeah.
don't think I think AI is manipulating us.
Well, yeah, the
Yeah.
algorithm and the algorithm knows us better than we're aware of.
Yes.
For
And
sure.
so I just got tired of it. I just got tired of the junk. I started noticing every Sunday you get if you have an iPhone, you get the little ding on your phone saying how much time you spent that week on your phone daily, right? I was
I
getting
have
up
that turned
to
off.
I was getting up to 5.5 hours a day, and I was like, "Dang, that's a part-time job." And I'm on my phone, like, am I learning anything? Am I growing? Am I, like, learning a skill?
Yeah.
Nothing, I'm just seeing these dumb videos that don't mean anything to me or getting things, instantly from the world. I just sat down and started thinking, like, we didn't have this much access before, and so getting bombarded by all this stuff all the time, all at once is like our bodies are made for that. And so I just got tired of it. And I was like, man, this is just the abyss that I'm going down, And so
Yeah.
yeah, and I finally just decided I was like, I'm gonna delete it off my phone. So I deleted it off my phone, which I thought I would have more of an issue with the re-downloading and stuff, but I haven't. And that's just my thing. But what I've noticed is that clarity in the mornings, I'm starting my day with like reading my Bible or
Yeah. Awesome.
something better that's for me in my mind, and so I'm remembering more. I'm having a sharper mind. I'm thinking things through more. I've gotten bored at times, but when I'm
Yeah.
bored, I'm like, this is good. I need to be bored. This is when I start thinking of things, or I get
Mhm.
creative, or um, I'm not being influenced by anything. And so I've noticed all those things. And like, I've been more productive. I've been reading more, which I always said I wanted to read more, but like, my phone was distracting me. So, um, and you know what?
Yeah.
Looking back now, like, I don't really miss it. I don't even think about it that much. Every once in a while, I'll get the itch, but I'm like, it's not worth my time. And so the first day was the hardest. It was like I kept reaching for my phone every 5, 10 minutes, any kind of dull moment. I was like, I need to fill it now. And so,
Yeah.
yeah. And so it was just, it got me. It was like I was an addict.
Well, so the answer for you was to just get rid of all the apps and just be off social media.
Yeah, and I don't know how long. I was thinking through Lent, but I don't know, maybe I'll go even more and I'm trying to friction to get to those things, because I feel like we this access we have is it's so easy, but we haven't stopped to think like, is this good for me? You know,
Yeah.
because we
Now,
progressed so fast, and it was I don't know.
could 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 you have added like practices in your life to discipline to strengthen your discipline for it? Or, because the reason why I asked, like the response was like, get rid of it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But was it so much that, like, adding a little bit of discipline in your practices, like, wasn't gonna work? Like, for instance, like, let me just give you a for instance, and this is what I mean by
Yes.
that. Like, I don't have any games on my phone. Like, those things just suck time and energy, so I don't have any games on my phone. I have a lot of notifications turned off, so I look at things when I look at things. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, text
Right.
messages come through and you can actually block people. You do not disturb, you can turn all of those things on so that it doesn't ding you. But my emails are off, so it's not dinging every time I get an email. Like, it's just phone calls, FaceTime, and messages. That's it. Every other notification is off because I don't need to hear when I get an Instagram thing. Because I know people, they're just like constantly hearing it and like looking, like, even if it's just spam email, like they get a notification and they have to go look at it. And I'm like, dude, I don't need any of that. And so I guess what I'm asking is like, because I've actually talked to a lot of people that have done this. They're like, I cannot control myself. So I gotta
Mm,
get these apps off of my phone. But then have you thought about, like, discipline? Just training yourself to, like, turn off notifications. Like, you can take off the Instagram app off your phone, but look at it when you're on your computer so you can still look at it, but it's not
right.
on your phone. And so
Right.
I just have come to realize that, like, man, if I like, the things that I mean, there are things that I need to look at because of work, like email and Google Drive just so that I can get
Right.
things, and if I'm doing work, I can access all of my stuff. But, like, I don't even play games anymore, you know what I mean? Because it's just a waste of time,
Yeah, and
but
I think, at least for me, as a millennial, like, we grew up not fully with the internet. We remember when it came out and you had to tell everyone to get off the phone because you were getting online, and and it took forever.
yeah, 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 yeah.
And I remember that, and I do like the idea of discipline. Like, I see where you're coming from, but there were some things I just needed to shock my system.
Okay.
Yeah, so for me, growing up with the internet, as it first started and stuff, I you had that discipline because it was so hard to get on.
Yeah,
You'd
yeah,
only check it like once or something like that, and so I tried to do that with my phone. I tried to do that with the social media for a long time, but I just found myself trying to fill that time, that uncomfortable time that, was dead space or whatever, where
yeah,
I don't want to be
yeah,
lost in my thoughts or whatever. And when I decided to jump off, I realized like I was trying to remember any kind of reels that I can think of that I watched. There's some
yeah.
that pop out, but like the rest of them, I don't remember them at all. And I don't know if that's
Huh.
just me, but like it's just that like information you're getting, but you don't remember it, which is crazy because it's
Yeah,
such a short period, and so no, I just deleted it to shock my system really, because yeah, the discipline of not going on and stuff was it wasn't working for me, and I did now I'm trying to just do it on my laptop, which is annoying
yeah,
if you're
yeah,
on
yeah,
Instagram, or
yeah, yeah,
Facebook, to kinda create that friction of just like, like, this isn't really worth my time. I can go on here and check, important things because I do think, like, Facebook now, people use that to update everyone, and stuff,
yeah,
and I did hear somewhere that, like, we as humans, like, used to only know, like, 100 and something
yeah,
people.
yeah.
And now, like, we're so connected with everyone, but I'm like, nobody, like, really, like, cares, if you post
Isn't that
something,
called
you
isn't that called Dunbar's number?
yes, yes.
Yeah. 150
Yeah.
people, Dunbar's number. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so
And
I'm
now we
just
got like thousands of friends.
right, so who don't really care, because we're all kinda just thinking about ourselves, most of the time, and that's
Yeah,
okay, we're human beings, but, like,
yeah.
I was just getting so caught up in, like, posting certain things, seeing how many likes I would get or views, always, like,
Yeah, see?
check in, and, like, I know, like, validation, I don't know, like, and so
Yeah, external validation, right? Outsourcing your emotional regulation. No,
yeah, and
man.
so
No, you highlight something really interesting because now I'm starting to think about it. Like I was at a conference and this kid was talking about like how they got off of it. I can think now of several people that like it's they want to shock the system and they can't like just having discipline or having like safeguards or boundaries or guardrails isn't gonna work. So they have to get it off their phone in order to like learn how to deal with it. Man, I want to think about that and I want to study why that is. Don't get me wrong, like I mean, I have the safeguards and I have my boundaries, but like I probably spend too much time on it, you know. But I do remember a time where there wasn't phones and there was only 3 channels and we were outside like playing. And like my kid is not allowed to use a screen unless he
cool.
is he's FaceTiming with somebody, but, like, he'll pick up the phone and, like, if we leave our phone or iPad lying around, he'll get on it, but, like, he doesn't stay on it long. He'd rather play, and be outside, and so, like, we're gonna try to avoid him having a screen, as long as possible, man. I've seen, like,
Right,
restaurants of, like, families, like, they're talking, parents are on their phone, the kid's on a big iPad, and no one's talking at the table, and so I'm like, "Man, that's not gonna
right.
be us." We can't do that because it forms us. I want
Mm,
us to be like we talk about like emotional regulation of this kid and we talk about like the attachment that he has with us. Like he's able to do all of that because he's not, well, because we're present with him and we're,
right.
like intentional about doing that kind of thing with them. But then like
Y
there are at the table, he now tells us no phones on the table.
Well, that's cool.
But the
That's
two-year-old
awesome.
the two-year-old's like, "Yep, no phones on the table." And so, we all remind each other, like, "No phones on the table." But yeah,
Yeah,
all
and what
like
I was gonna say what's been cool to see, I guess, a light is, like, my niece and nephews, they have imagination because their parents don't let them use, screens that much or hard anything, and, like, they're teaching them, you gotta have that imagination. If you're just on the phone and
yeah,
it's that goes away.
yeah. That's really good. You highlight like a lot of things, like the tools we use, the technology out there all shapes psychology. It shapes who we are. It forms our sense of self. It impacts how we see friends and how we are friends to people. Like it just impacts so much of us. Yeah, we're gonna have to continue this conversation, and I want you to do more thinking about it, and like ask AI those follow up
Yeah.
questions, and then we'll record again.
I can't wait to ask it more questions.
Yeah, man. Thanks for sharing just your thoughts and ideas and taking the time. Like, man, this has been a good conversation, and it's
Yeah,
helpful for me. Hopefully, it's helpful for people that listen to this. Which we'll put it out there and like it's crazy that people will watch this stuff, but they do, because they're also thinking and wrestling through this stuff. But maybe next
right.
time we can talk about like how it's going, not having your phone and just, like, or not having the apps and not being on social media. I'd love to follow up with you on that. But
Cool.
thanks for the conversation, man.
Peace.
Yes, sir.